How about now? How about now? Now? Hello? Can you hear me now? Alright. Okay, one second. How about, hang on. Now? That sound okay now? I'm just adjusting the level on the thing here. See if I can do this without muting the... Alright. Alright, let's put it about there. And, okay. Alright. Put it about here. Ah, for fuck's sake. Okay, one second. I apologize here. You know, I really should be better at this by now. I've gotten really paranoid about this audio thing. But I've been using this software, this Wirecast thing, to do the streams for a while, and there's always some kind of workaround that I have to go through in order to get the audio just right. It's like I feel like there should be just a way to just mute it and just to have it work and not have to go MacGyver on this thing. It's just really weird. I don't know why it's this. I don't know why it is this way. And I thought I didn't have to do this. Come on. So yeah, Impact just ended. That was interesting, huh? Interesting, really good, really nice return for LAX at the end there. Thankfully, Hernandez was not involved. Because an LAX without Hernandez, that's an LAX that I can get on board with. Yeah, hopefully he's done. We won't have to deal with him anymore. I apologize. This is just gonna take a second. I got to rig up something here. I thought I wouldn't have to. Just got a thing here. I thought I could do it on this computer, but apparently I can't. Okay, sorry about that. All right. New or old MacGyver? Take your pick. All right, let's go. Sorry about that. Thought I had something worked out. Apparently I didn't. Anyway, starting as always with The Flash. For future reference, this is your spoiler warning. I have a no spoiler policy for the chat room, so if you know anything about upcoming episodes, keep it to yourself. Also, let's please try to stay on topic as long as we can, because that's helpful to me with my ADD personality. So if I'm talking about Flash, please don't ask me about Arrow. We'll deal with that when we get to it. Let's just try to go one show at a time and try to stay on topic. So if we're talking about The Flash, just ask me about The Flash, and then if you want to ask something off topic, save it to the end. So, The Flash. Season 3, Episode 16, Into the Speed Force. Barry goes into the Speed Force to save Wally. In there, he confronts apparitions of people who died because of him, Eddie Thawne, Ronnie Raymond. He has to confront some ugly truths about himself along the way. He meets up with Jay Garrick, and he saves Wally, but Jay Garrick stays behind because, well, someone had to stay behind, and God forbid Barry be the one to do it. While all that's happening, Jessie Quick decides to confront Savitar on her own. It doesn't go well, but she does manage to not get killed, so yay for Jessie. So Wally is saved, Jessie heads off to Earth 3 to fill in for Jay Garrick until they can save him. Iris decides that she wants to marry Barry after all, but suddenly Barry thinks that they need some space instead because reasons. You know, in a lot of ways, it feels like this episode was written for me. It's almost as if the writers have been watching these reviews, took everything that I've been saying into account, and then wrote this episode as an apology for everything that they've put me through. Because there was so much wonderful cathartic stuff on display here, and it was glorious, you guys. Fucking glorious. Sure, I mean, they refer to deform at the end like they always do, but for most of this episode, I was actually enjoying myself for a change. Alright, the very first scene, the very first line of the episode, is Barry saying, "This is all my fault." Immediately I started getting a good feeling about this one. And then they don't dawdle. They don't waste any time. They instantly get to work on a plan to rescue Wally from the Speed Force with Barry leading the charge. So, no beating around the bush or anything like they so often do. No wasting time on shit that doesn't need to be focused on. No, they get right to work. What is this? Seriously, what is this? Barry actually acknowledging when he's made a mistake? Actually taking responsibility for his fuck-ups? Actually putting someone else's needs ahead of his own? This is still The Flash I'm watching, right? But wait, it gets better. They come up with a plan, and get this. It's actually a good plan. I know, I was surprised too. I couldn't believe it. Remember in the season 1 finale when Barry went back in time to save his mom, but he didn't take any precautions? He just went in like he was stumbling around in the dark without a flashlight, and he ended up causing an extinction-level event because he was an idiot? Well, here, the team acts like they've actually learned something from that experience, because this time, they actually take precautions. They rig up a way to monitor Barry's vitals in case he flatlines, and they build a way to tether him to the real world so they can yank him back at a moment's notice if the mission goes to shit. Frankly, all things that they should have done last time. But they didn't because they were stupid. But, I mean, seriously, these are just simple, logical, intelligent things to do that anyone in their right mind would have thought of. And on any other show, this would go without saying, except on this show, because they never think of stuff like that on this show, until this week. They're actually using their brains for once. I couldn't fucking believe it. And then, Barry asks Iris if he lost her, and she doesn't even answer him. She just walks away. And it was wonderful, because fuck that boring-ass romance. But his reaction was great, too. He doesn't whine about it for once. He doesn't waste tons of time being a little bitch about it. He takes a moment to reflect on the whole thing, like, well, I sure fucked that up. And then he puts it aside, and he gets on with the far more important business of saving Wally. Almost like a real superhero should act. It was bizarrely out of character for Barry, but I wasn't complaining. Because at this point, I was grinning ear to ear. Because it's like this episode was written just for me. But the best was yet to come. Because once Barry is in the Speed Force, he has to confront apparitions of all these people that are dead because of him, and he has to own up to one of his biggest fuck-ups ever. The Speed Force is pissed off. And why? Because they gave him his powers back because he told them that he had come to terms with his mother's death, and that turned out to be bullshit, which led to Flashpoint becoming a thing, and now the Speed Force is taking him to task for it because the Speed Force is fucking pissed. Holy shit, you guys! Actual fucking consequences. Barry fucked up, and now he is finally being forced to deal with that. Now, this doesn't excuse the way the writers had to regress Barry's character in order to do Flashpoint in the first place. Like I said, that should have happened in Season 2, not Season 3. But this was a rare case of the writers having some kind of epiphany, some moment of clarity, and rather than simply washing that mistake away, they decide to take the mistake and try to make something productive out of it. And the crazy thing is, I think it actually worked. Barry finally has to own up to Flashpoint. He has to own up to the guilt over Eddie sacrificing himself because of Barry, over Ronnie sacrificing himself because of Barry, and let's be honest, that's exactly what happened. You know, he's trying to dump the responsibility of saving Iris onto Wally. The Speed Force takes him to task on all of this stuff. It calls him out on being an asshole when he says one thing and only to do something else later on. And it all builds up to, I shit you not, you guys, the greatest moment of the entire fucking series. When Barry actually says the line, "I'm no hero." That's why I needed that. I can't fucking believe it. I never thought this day would come, you guys, but finally, after 3 goddamn seasons, they finally had Barry acknowledge that he's a fucking embarrassment of a superhero. It's as if the whole purpose of this episode was specifically designed to deconstruct Barry's character and all of his fuck-ups in order for him to confront the fact that he's the worst fucking person in the world. I'm fucking giddy about this. I'm sorry. This was wonderful. I can't even fucking contain myself. Oh my god. And then they had to go and fucking ruin it. Jay Garrick. Fucking Jay Garrick decides to stay behind. Because the Speed Force isn't fucking around anymore, and the only way for Wally to leave is if someone takes his place. So Jay stays behind so Barry doesn't have to. No. God damn it, Flash! You were so close! You were so fucking close! This episode could have been a work of character deconstructing genius! All they had to do was leave Barry in the fucking Speed Force! I think there's even a storyline in the comics where that happens. It would have been so perfect! It would have been Barry finally having to pay real penance for everything he's done wrong and all the mistakes he's made in the last fucking 3 years. But right when they were about to cross the goddamn finish line, they revert to form. And Barry is let off the hook yet again. Fuck. And yet, this wasn't all for nothing. Even though the writers pulled back at the last minute and decided to troll us by not giving us that divine moment of awesome that we fucking deserved after putting up with all their shit for this long, there was a silver lining. Because after this excursion into the Speed Force, Barry is not the same. You get the sense that he's been changed by this experience. This is not another case of them hitting the reset button on Barry so he doesn't have to actually learn anything. Not this time. Because just this once, it seems like Barry has chosen to take this experience as an opportunity to grow as a person. You do get the impression that he's different now, that he might start making different choices now because of this. Now, sure, they could retcon that later on, like they always seem to, but for right now, I feel like this is going to stick. At least for a while. Now, the B-plot this week focuses on Jessie. Yeah, she's upset about Wally, she's not thinking clearly, and she wants to take her anger out on Savitar, so she goes to hunt him down. Yeah, she wants to fight him on her own. Of course, this is idiotic, but what makes it work is that they take care to actually explain her motivations and, more importantly, how idiotic she is for doing this. HR spells it all out. You're upset about Wally, you're not thinking clearly, you're going to get yourself killed if you do this. But she doesn't care because she's too worked up, and afterward, she's quick to acknowledge that she made a huge mistake and resolves to not make it again. And the cherry on the cake is that she actually does something really smart at the end. Because after Savitar says that he has plans for her, she realizes that she might be in his crosshairs, she might factor into his plans somehow. And what does she do about it? Get this. Jessie decides to do the exact thing that Iris should have done when she found out that she was going to be murdered in the future. She removes herself from the situation so that can't happen. She goes to another universe where Savitar can't get to her, thus foiling his plans for her before he has a chance to enact them. Yeah. How about that? And fuck. I just lost my notes. The fuck just happened here? Ah, for fuck's sake. Sorry, I've got to reboot my browser here. Hang on. All kinds of technical problems this week. I don't know what happened there. That has literally never happened before. Gotta be this new OS I had to download so I could stream. This thing has got all sorts of bugs in it. Okay, where the hell was I? Yeah, alright, here we go. So yeah, that's Jessie's plan. It's really simple and easy, and it fucking, by all rights, it should fucking work. She just removes herself from the situation so Savitar can't get to her, thus ruining whatever plans he had in store for her. Yeah, how about that? Huh? Jessie actually did the smart thing to quickly and easily sabotage Savitar's plan because, unlike Iris, Jessie is not a fucking idiot. Of course, it wouldn't be the Flash if we didn't have some stupid on display in some form or another. Case in point, if it's literally that easy to keep Jessie safe from Savitar, if putting Jessie beyond Savitar's reach is as simple as shipping her off to Earth 3 for a while, then why the hell doesn't Iris go with her? Think about this. If you're so desperate to find a way to stop Iris's impending murder at the hands of Savitar, here's a really easy way to prevent it that Jessie just handed you fucking gift-wrapped. Just send Iris to Earth 3. Let her chill there with Jesse for a few months, and then after you've dealt with Savitar, once he's not a threat anymore, you can go get her and bring her back. Doesn't that seem reasonable? But no one even suggests this as a possibility. Why? Because they're all fucking stupid. God damn you, Flash. You just can't take the path of least resistance, can you? Jesus Christ. Speaking of Iris, because to the shock of no one, the stupidest stuff in this episode revolved around her. She has this conversation with Joe about how the article about the Flash that she wrote in the future has changed now, and it's written by somebody else now, and she's wondering if she ruined things, and maybe it's too late for her and Barry, because that's all it takes. That's all it takes to put doubt in her mind that her and Barry are not destined to be. Because she needs to have, like, absolute fucking confirmation from the future that they're fucking written in the stars. And if she doesn't have that, then suddenly she's filled with doubt. That's probably not a good sign. Probably a sign that the relationship isn't on as sure a footing as she likes to think it is. But yeah, anyway, she thinks all of a sudden she's starting to worry that maybe it's too late for them. And that's idiotic because the team just went through this whole dog and pony show about how every change, no matter how small, affects the future. Not to mention that whether or not her and Barry are married in the future can literally be decided as easily as her changing her mind about the fucking proposal. As far as she knows, anyway. But no. Now, for some reason, she's acting like rejecting the proposal was somehow final. And that might be the only choice they'll ever get or some bullshit like that. And I don't understand why. Why on earth would that be the only chance you'd ever get? Barry has been infatuated with you since the season began, since before the series began. And now one little bump in the road and she thinks that maybe it'll never happen? This is so dumb. It's contrived and it makes no sense. And that's how you knew the episode was starting to pull back. They were starting to revert to form, starting to just do what they always do in the end. Do what they always end up doing. It's very frustrating. And sure enough, it happens. Iris retracts her rejection of Barry's proposal. Only now, because of the revelations that Barry's made about himself while in the Speed Force, he rejects her retraction and decides that they should spend some time apart because we're right back to that horse crap about him proposing for the wrong reasons and doing it out of fear instead of out of love. As if simply doing it to change the future in order to save her fucking life was somehow not justification to do it. What a load of shit. I'm not annoyed that I'm not annoyed that the engagement was called off. I'm happy about that, as you well know. I'm annoyed that Barry called it off because of utterly contrived and stupid reasons that make no sense and insult the intelligence of the audience when simple fucking pragmatism tells us that the benefit of them staying engaged might just be changing the future so Iris doesn't get murdered. But, hey, who the hell am I kidding? If these characters were pragmatic in the least, Iris would be chilling with Jesse on Earth 3 right now, far away from the site of her impending murder, but she's not. Because Iris is an idiot. Even though they did fuck it up at the end, this was probably the best episode of The Flash this season. Now, granted, that doesn't mean much because God knows they've set that bar awfully low, but I do mean that in a good way. You know, the Speed Force throwing all of Barry's fuck-ups back in his face and forcing him to confront some ugly truths about himself was such a long time coming. Ideally, we shouldn't have had to wait 3 fucking seasons for that to happen, but better late than never. And just the fact that we got it at all makes me want to give this one a thumbs up. I mean, yeah, the stupid was still there, but for once, the good stuff outweighed it. And for that, I'm thankful. I gotta open a window, hang on. Oh, man. I don't know what's going on with this weather. It's been pretty fucking cold last couple of days. We got must have got like 1.5 to 2 feet of snow. And I'm starting to sweat through my clothes again. had to open a window. I don't know what's going on. Anywho. Let's see. Just take Iris to Earth 3. It's not rocket science. Yeah, exactly. That was my point. That's all I'm saying. It's like I can't understand why this didn't occur to them. I mean, if it's literally that easy to keep someone safe from Savitar, just send Iris with Jesse. Why is this so complicated? It makes no sense at all. None. See, I thought this was a good episode, actually. All in all, with very through nitpicks. I have liked the past two, but next week is the musical episode, so we'll see how the streak holds up. Oy. Yeah, next week is the musical. I guess that's a two-parter crossover with Supergirl. Not sure how that one's gonna go. I mean, they're getting into some heavier stuff recently, and now they're doing like a silly musical romp. I mean, Buffy could pull that. Buffy could pull something like that off. This show is not Buffy, so I don't know how that's gonna. Wow, fingers crossed that this isn't a complete disaster. Although our two leads are Glee alums, so they should be able to sing at least. Let's see. Could Savitar be Barry Allen? As this reminds me of a comic story Out of Time. Flash's constant time travel was also the reason for the Speed Force decay, so he so desperately wanted to fix. I kind of wonder about that myself. They said, the producers or something, they said that the reveal of who Savitar is was going to be a complete shocker because there's going to be, like, no foreshadowing or no hinting about who it is until we see it. So it could literally be anybody. And if they really wanted to do something fucking shocking, have it be Barry, that would be cool, I think. Plus, it would, I mean, if for no other reason than it mean that a future version of Barry killed Iris. Oh man, I would love to see Tumblr's reaction to that. Just go into the Iris West tag and watch the fucking fireworks when they find out that future Barry is the one who murdered Iris. Oh, the West Allen shippers would be going fucking nuts. It'd be hilarious. This show did something it's needed to do for a long time and have Barry face all the demons from all the mistakes he's made over the course of 3 seasons. Yes, exactly. And ultimately drove him to try to kill his younger self in an effort to heal the Speed Force. Okay, cool. Let's see. This whole episode is based on a big chunk of story from the comics, except in the comics, Barry is stuck in the Speed Force for decades, and Kid Flash Impulse takes his place. Yeah. Yeah, that led to Wally, not this Wally, but the original Wally becoming the Flash for quite a while, actually. Ergo, why Wally West was the Flash that I grew up with. I didn't read the comics, but I watched the Justice League animated series, and Wally West was the Flash on that show. So to me, Wally West is the Flash. That's why I never wanted them to bring Barry back in the comics. I don't care about Barry. I care about Wally. And it's a similar situation on this show, even if this is, I guess, the new 52 version of Wally, which is a different Wally from the one I grew up with. It's still Wally, and he's still a better character and a better superhero than Barry. So, fuck yeah, leave Barry in the Speed Force and send Wally back. Have Wally become the Flash. I've already gone over why that would be a big step up. Jessie leaving after just getting there makes little sense. Wally kind of needs her right now, and 3 speedsters versus 1 Savitar makes more sense to me. Yeah. I mean, we got Jessie for a couple episodes at least. I'll take what I can get. I like Jessie a lot. I wish she would stick around, but she is just a guest star at the end of the day. That's kind of unfortunate. I mean, hopefully we get her back at some point this season. I have no idea what they're doing with Jessie Quick. Honestly, her story is so wildly different from the comics that can barely follow it. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with the character, but as I understand it, they've taken a lot of liberties with that one. Why does a speedster need to be in that Speed Force prison? I feel like they never really have. They never have really explained that. I think it's because the Speed Force was pissed at Barry, and they wanted him to pay for screwing with them because they gave him his powers back because he convinced them that he'd gotten over his mother's death, and then he did a take back. And it turns out he was just bullshitting them, and then he created Flashpoint and caused and fucked up all manner of cosmic shit in the process. And now that made the Speed Force really pissed at Barry, so now they want him to pay for it. So it's like, yeah, okay, well, we'll give you a shot to save Wally, but someone's got to stay behind because we're not fucking around now. We are pissed off, and you got to pay the toll. They're not giving Barry any free passes this time. He's got to pay the fucking toll. So that was my justification for it. That's how I interpreted the whole thing. The line Savitar said earlier in the season, "I am the future Flash." What if he's saying, "I am the future Flash"? He wants to kill Iris in front of Barry. Would that push him to become Savitar then? Interesting. Yeah, not I am the future, comma Flash. I am the future Flash, as in I am the future you. That would yeah. I could see that. It's like he spelled it all out for Barry. Barry still didn't know. Yeah, that would be interesting. That would be a cool twist. I could get on board with that. Still, no one has told Iris to just get the hell out of Dodge. Come on, show. A 10-year-old kid could think of this. Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the parts where you have to just turn your brain off. It's like it literally has the easiest solution in the world. And no one is even bringing it up. No one is saying, "Hey, Iris, maybe if you got out of the city, like went off the grid for a while, so Savitar couldn't find you, maybe he wouldn't be able to murder you. Or, go to Earth 3 for a while, where he can't reach you." But no, it's like, we're trying to stop her from getting murdered. The easiest fucking solution is to just make it so that he can't find her. But no, she's still living in the same place, still going to Star Labs every day, still living her life, still doing all the things she normally does. Like, she's playing right into his fucking hands. Like a dumbass. It baffles me that none of them think of this. And it's fucking stupid. I have no idea what Savitar's origin is here. In the comic, he's just a really, really powerful speedster. They seem to be adapting the story of Godspeed to Savitar here. Okay? A mega powerful speedster who thinks he's a god and starts offing people, that's Godspeed. Alright, I'll take your word for it. Let's see. There's the message that the Legends found during the crossover that Barry... Could Barry have sent that knowing he was changing into Savitar and to warn his friends before it was too late? Possibly. Yeah, possibly. Because we all took it to mean that future Barry was telling his present self to not go on the mission because he was dangerous or a liability or something, but then he went on the mission anyway, and that didn't come into play at all. So maybe he was referring to something else? But if he was, why didn't he just say that? I guess they were being deliberately vague about that message, weren't they? That's interesting, actually. You may have a good point there. Okay. All right, stuff about Legends of Tomorrow. I'm just going to skip over that because I don't care. Your laugh is beautiful. It's like watching a dragon laugh. Yeah. Ode to Joy. Yeah. Someone said HR is Savitar and had a few things to back it up, and I think it might work. Okay. Do tell. Don't let this Barry ruin your opinion of Comic Barry, dude. Trust me, the comic one is, let's just say, not a Barry. Well, he couldn't possibly be... Well, Comic Barry could only be a step up from TV Barry. I'll tell you that. And the Comic Barry did stay in the Speed Force for decades. He was believed dead and saved multiple universes doing so, and basically praised for decades as a kind of superhero messiah. Okay, so Comic Barry saved multiple universes, and TV Barry puts multiple universes in jeopardy for entirely selfish reasons. Yeah, that is quite a departure. How do you do Flash without Barry? Just asking. You do it with Wally. That's the answer. You do it with Wally. In fact, when they brought him back, the reaction from the public was basically what it would have been if Christ fell out of the sky in the middle of LA. Wow. While he was gone, Wally was Flash, and Impulse was his sidekick instead. It lasted literally decades, one of the biggest stories in DC, basically that and the death of Superman. Of course, they called him wait. Alright, I'm getting out of order here. I was just wondering if you argue to any of the Flash fanboys lately on social media. If so, did those idiots call you racist? Not on Twitter. I got into it a little bit about the Iris thing on Tumblr. No, I go by a different name on Tumblr just because I like to talk about some different stuff on Tumblr. I like to keep that separate. But yeah, I made a post about Iris. I said, look, hey, writers, if you want us to care about whether or not Iris gets murdered, could you make her like an interesting character in her own right? Could you have her like do something relevant? Because she's not really doing anything here. She's just hanging around while everyone else is making themselves useful. I said, look, make her good for something. Make her a useful character. Or, if not, just get rid of her. And, yeah. A bunch of people got in my face about that. And, they were playing the race baiting card again. It's just, that's Tumblr for you. It pretty much happens every time that you dare to disagree with anyone about anything. You got someone calling you a racist. Say, of course they called him a racist. SJW's called me a Klansman multiple times, and I'm black. Oh, Jesus. Oh, I'm sorry, man. There's a lot of Look, Tumblr is fun. It's a fun platform, but my God, that site is full of just knee-jerk reactionary crybabies who pitch a fit at the tiniest thing. God, you say one wrong word, and suddenly you got people calling you worse than Hitler. Literally. God, these people need to get thicker skin. It's interesting being accused of joining the KKK when you're one of the people they would hang from a tree like an ornament. Oy. I have a question. Instead of sending Iris to Earth 3, send her to the future. Drop her off thousands of years from now. Come back later when time's up. Well, actually, that would be problematic because Savitar... They know Savitar got trapped in the Speed Force in the future. Because Barry trapped Savitar in the future. But they don't know when in the future. They don't know at what point in the future, actually. So... presumably if he's been, doing more time travel in the future, him trapping Savitar could have happened literally at any point in the timeline. So, sending Iris to the future is not a guarantee of keeping her safe. The nature of time travel means, she would only be there for seconds while weeks would pass in the present. Oh, yeah. Like, drop her off. And then once you've taken care of Savitar, you come back to that exact point like 2 seconds later from Iris's perspective. Oh, yeah, that's a good point, actually. I hadn't thought of that. So that's another thing they could do that they haven't thought of. Time travel in Flash and in Legends operates very differently because I think one is natural and uncontrolled while the other is mechanical and bound by certain physics, as it were. For example, in Legends, time travel is precise and can be dialed down to seconds, while in the Flash, you basically pick a year and pray. One with a ship, the other is a guy running really hard. Don't get me started on weather. Oh, wait, there's something else. All right. I think there was something in season 2 about that. I would have to check. I think that's why Iris can't go, or she just wants to stay with Barry. I think it's that she just wants to stay with Barry because she's dumb. Let's see. Don't get me started on weather. Here in Detroit, we got hit with 70-mile-an-hour winds for 10 hours straight. Power went off for a full week, and it was 10 degrees outside. Yes, bad weather. That's rough, dude. You know what it feels like sitting in a house with only a propane heater to keep you warm when it's 10 fucking degrees? No, good. Now thank God for that. That's rough, man. My sympathies. Why don't the showrunners have some balls to just kill Iris off and get it over with? I never found her character to be all that interesting. Man, I've gone over this several times. I've gone over all my reasons why killing Iris off would probably make the show better. I don't think they'll do it. I really don't think they'd ever have the balls to do it. The Flash just isn't that kind of show, which is bizarre, seeing as how it's a spin-off of Arrow, which is that kind of show. I guess I think with Flash they're trying to go for the more like a more lighter tone, a more hopeful tone, and it's just not really in the same vein as shows like Arrow or The 100, where anyone can go at any time. Now Flash, they want everybody to feel safe. They want their show to be a safe space, where people can come and not have to worry about how characters they love are going to die. Whatever, even if it would make the show better. Whatever. Will this be the end of the Barry Allen fucks up everything show? I doubt it. He may have taken a step in the right direction this week, but this is still Barry we're talking about. He'll still find a way. Fuck that Flash. To paraphrase Brevy. Yeah. Oh yeah, if you send her to HR's world and Savitar follows, a small army of teleporting mercenaries will fight him and maybe kill him. Just a thought. Yeah. So it wouldn't just be Jesse protecting him, it would be Gypsy and all those other, vibing cops. It just makes it more ridiculous that nobody thought of this. HR, maybe Savitar, there has been some hints. Okay. Writers are fucking noobs. Agreed. My fan cast for an MCU Fantastic Four film, Reed Richards, Michael Cera. What? Michael Cera's Reed Richards? Wow. Sue Storm, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Ben Grimm, Jonah Hill, Johnny Storm. Okay. That is off topic. Fastest idiot alive. Different stuff. The big one is Savitar refers to Wally as Wallace. HR is the one person who does that. Oh, you're right. I hadn't thought of it. Wow. I didn't notice that. Oh, God, I hope it's not... I really hope it's not HR, God damn it. I mean, they already went to the well with the evil Harrison Wells thing once. Do we really have to do it? I really hope we don't do that again. Although you're right, that is highly suspect, because only HR calls him Wallace. Yeah. Oy. Maybe it's a future version of HR. I don't know. What's the 100 about? Post-apocalyptic future where the last remnants of humanity live in a giant space station. 100 people get sent down to the planet and have to learn to survive there in a radiation-soaked, not a wasteland, but a much different world than the one we live in now. It's a whole big thing. I'm not watching it anymore because it's kind of like I liken it to The Walking Dead, and that it's just too grim and too bleak for my tastes, and that you get the sense that these characters are all doomed ultimately, and there's no real hope. They're not trying to live; they're just trying to live for anything. They're just trying to survive until they die. And so yeah, I stopped watching. I think around season 3, but that is off topic. Okay. Moving on. All right. Arrow. Season 5. Episode 16, Checkmate. Oliver pays a visit to Talia to learn the identity of Prometheus. How he knew that she was the one who trained Prometheus, I wasn't clear on, but the point is, he learns who Prometheus is. He tries confronting him, that doesn't work, because Adrian has Susan held captive somewhere. So the team has to do some investigating while Adrian is using the cops to play with them until finally they start playing his game. You know, they figure out where he is. They try using his wife against him, and they do rescue Susan. But Adrian kills his wife rather than let her be used against him, and it ends with Adrian taking Oliver captive with some help from Talia, who is a little bit pissed off about the whole killing her father thing, as if Oliver had much choice in the matter. Guys, help me out here. How did Oliver know that Talia trained Prometheus? I was really blanking on this. Did I miss something? He just shows up at her doorstep already knowing that she must have trained this guy, but how did he get that information? Was there a scene that explained that and I was in the bathroom or something and I missed it? Was I just not paying attention? I don't know. I don't know how that happened. But anyway, aside from that, now that all the cards are on the table and Adrian isn't hiding anymore, we're finally able to get to the meat of things and really dive into Prometheus. And what's cool about him is that since he's a public figure with a lot of influence in Star City government, he's got resources that Oliver's past villains haven't had. And that's how he's able to use the police against Team Arrow when he needs to slow them down or stop them from getting a lead or something. You know, it's a lot different from using the League of Assassins, because with them, you can just put an arrow in them, and you know, they go down, and that's it. But Oliver can't exactly fight the police, so it's a big complication. Also, this guy is more wily than somebody like Slade Wilson, for example, whereas Slade would take Felicity hostage and just use that to force Oliver to fight him. Adrian takes Susan hostage and just holds that over Oliver like, you know, sure, you could kill me, but then you'd never find her. You know, you could torture me, but are you willing to bet that I'd crack before she dies of thirst? You know, he's just playing with Oliver like a cat with a ball of yarn as a way to get under his skin. Just tormenting him, but not by doing something, but by teasing what he might do, knowing that Oliver can't do a damn thing about it. And every time he tries, Adrian's anticipated what he's going to do, and he sets some kind of trap. So I really like where this is going, because it's pushing Oliver into a really desperate place. Yeah, that's why the press conference scene was so cool, because when he says that he's about to give like a shoot-to-kill order on Green Arrow, if he doesn't turn himself in, you're wondering what he's playing at. Because Oliver is completely screwing himself by doing this, and that's exactly what Adrian would want. So, does he have some kind of plan here? But even if he does, I mean, he's taking a hell of a risk by doing it. It makes it also makes the scene where they bring out his wife really impactful. As soon as Dig brought her in, I knew what was going to happen. I think we all did, but it was still really cool because this is the first time that they've been able to do something that Adrian didn't see coming. The first time that they've been able to hurt him, and then he just kills his own wife just so they can't use her against him. And that's when you really get a sense of just how depraved and twisted this guy has become. And it does present a convincing argument for Adrian here that, he's got Oliver thinking that all his attachments have made him weak because they can all be used against him, whereas they tried to do the same thing to Adrian, and he just cut the cord, just eliminated the attachment so they couldn't hurt him that way. And, while Oliver wondering about this type of stuff is really nothing new, you understand why he'd be going over this again, because Adrian did present a very convincing case. So if you got nothing, if you have no attachments, there's nothing to be used against you. The one complaint I have in this, well, two complaints actually. It seems like Adrian's original motivation of wanting revenge on Oliver for killing his father has kind of been abandoned in favor of just making him straight up batshit. When I thought the revenge thing was more personal and a more compelling way to go. Which I guess is why they threw Talia in there, who's in it for revenge now. Though considering what her dad wanted to do to the city, I don't think she could really blame Oliver for killing him, but I guess that's why you call them bad guys. The other complaint I have is, where the hell is Artemis? That was a pretty big plot point when she turned on Team Arrow, and we haven't seen her since. I don't even think she's been mentioned. What the hell happened to her? Where is she? It's like they just dropped that without even resolving it. Anyway, in the B-plot, we're seeing Felicity really starting to get her hands dirty in this Helix organization. I'm really looking forward to seeing that blow up in her face, to be honest. I'm not sure how you can avoid that, though it would be just like these writers to try to let her off the hook for it, because, I mean, they're all so in love with Felicity that she's become a lot like Barry Allen in that way. But there has to be some kind of repercussions for what she's doing. In the meantime, I would like to see her being at least a little bit conflicted about all this stuff she's doing. I mean, she just literally hacked Homeland Security to redirect border control drones, which is a pretty fucking serious thing. And she just brushed it off like, I'm a strong, independent woman and I can do what I want, damn it. I'm going to be very disappointed if that doesn't come back to haunt her in a big way. Very disappointed. So that was it. Strong episode here. The Prometheus plot is really engrossing, and I like how his motivations are still kind of a mystery. He doesn't necessarily want to kill Oliver, he wants to ruin Oliver. But what exactly does that mean? He's got everything he would need to destroy Oliver's public image, but for some reason he hasn't done it yet. But why? What game is he playing? And when he said that Oliver hadn't figured out what game they're playing, he wasn't blowing smoke, he really meant it. And I believe him. So I'm excited for what they do with this next, and also really glad that they didn't kill Susan, because I like Susan and I hope she sticks around, even though I know she probably won't. Okay. Let's see. Since the Prometheus reveal, he has started to fall as a villain to me. I wish they had killed him off in this episode and Talia had become the main villain of the season. Really? I admit the reveal wasn't exactly surprising, but I thought I think he's been pretty he's been well handled since then. Let's see. Never a fan of how Talia is done when it comes to live action. I wish we could get a version like Batman the Animated Series, where she is really a good person, just has an insane loyalty to her father that keeps her from ever being happy. Yeah, well, that's why they call Batman the Animated Series a fucking classic. Like, so many versions of the characters that a lot of people consider like the definitive version of the character. And Talia was one of them. I'm not really a fan of them making her a more of a straight up villain. I like more of the ambiguity when it comes to her. So it's not my favorite move of just making her a regular bad guy, but they've done worse things. Can we ask off-topic questions? When I'm done with the Arrow stuff. Oliver has time traveled and stopped an alien invasion this year, but he can't stop this guy. Oliver was also lauded by the president and hailed as a hero after the crossover. Yeah, it's funny how accusations of being a cop killer can wash all that away, huh? Yeah, so there's another reason of why the crossover was really quite bad. This Prometheus is so different from the comic one, I have literally no idea what to do with this guy. It's basically a new character with the name Prometheus. I barely know the character in the comics, and I know that. Literally, all I know about him is what I've seen in Linkara's videos when he reviewed Cry for Justice. That's the only thing I know Prometheus from. So this is really a whole new creation. In the mid-season finale, Prometheus did a move off a table that Oliver knew. Oh, is that how? So he did a move off a table that looked familiar. So it's like, oh, there's only one person you could have learned that from. Is that how you knew it was Talia? Talia? Huh. There was room for a nice little Talia versus Nyssa fight here if they can get Katrina Law to guest star for one episode. That would be nice. As I understand it, Katrina Law has got a gig on another show now, so that might not be possible, but would be cool. Who the fuck is Prometheus, really? Why should we seriously give a shit? Should have been Tommy Merlin dressed up as a black archer. Well, it would have been more surprising than just having it be like the most obvious person imaginable. Of course, Tommy was also on the list of suspects. Prometheus should have been Tommy. Do the Flash and Arrow writers actually have a plan to have their villains make the same speech in the same week, or are they just not paying attention? Might have been coincidence. As we've discovered over the course of these reviews, these shows are not really in contact with each other that much. The writers don't really communicate back and forth like they should. So I'm willing to bet it was just a weird coincidence. Because that whole one more death will break you coming from both Savitar and Prometheus in the same week was a bit much. Yeah. See, in the comics, Prometheus is basically Batman but evil, and all that this implies, he's that smart, that good, that powerful. Seriously. He almost killed the entire Justice League 3 times and basically had Superman on his knees twice. So yeah, comic Prometheus basically shows what happens if Batman ever turned evil. This Prometheus, I have no idea. Season 1 was easily the best and most watchable season of The Flash. No masterpiece by any stretch, but a lot better than where The Flash is now. Most watchable... Probably, yeah. I think Season 3 has been showing signs of improvement here and there these last couple episodes, but that, I don't know. That might just be a flash in the pan, no pun intended. Use Flashpoint as a reason why Tommy's alive. I guess that could have worked. My guess is this group Felicity is working with will be the big bads in Season 6. That'd be cool. I'd be fine with that. Be nice to have a bad guy who wasn't just like a dark archer or someone that Oliver screwed over or someone. Have the big bad just be a big hacker group. Why not? Be something different. I hope movie Flash is better than TV Flash. Dude, at this rate, I'm starting to wonder if we're ever going to see movie Flash in his own movie, because they've lost like 3 directors in a row. They can't seem to hold on to one. So we're going to see him in Justice League, and then who the hell knows? I tend to think Ezra Miller's going to do a good job with that, though. I want a whole episode dedicated to finding that little bitch Artemis and putting a bullet in her. Dude, I'd settle for just finding out what the hell happened to her after the last time she appeared. Because she turned on the team and then she just fucking vanished. No one even talks about her anymore. She'll appear in the next episode or the one after that. Okay. How many more seasons do you think Arrow can last? Does it still have legs? I think they can go for a while still. I suspect they've had some kind of 5-year plan in place, because that's when the flashbacks run out. And, they did have... they must have had some kind of plan for all the scars that he accumulated and the tattoos that he had. So there must have been a rough outline of all the time that he spent on the island and what the flashbacks were going to be like. So they must have had some kind of a plan for those first 5 seasons. Beyond that, who knows? But I think there's room for them to go for a while longer, sure. As I understand it, it's still one of the CW's higher rated shows. At least I think so. I think there's still mileage in it, yeah. Because we'll have to see what they do creatively once they've run out of flashbacks. Although it will be nice not to have to deal with those anymore, because they haven't been interesting in quite a while. I think Felicity hacking the NSA will bring in Lila. Hope so. The show needs more of Lila. Okay. Susan should have been in the League with Prometheus. No. No, I like Susan. I don't want her to be evil. Susan should have been in League with Prometheus, which makes sense. No, I don't like it. I mean, they kept on teasing that she was investigating Oliver being the Green Arrow, and they were teasing that she might write some kind of expose exposing him. I like that they kind of turned it on its head and decided no, she actually developed real feelings for him, and she decides to not turn him in. I like that she's actually a good person, apparently. I don't want... We had too many people that Oliver trusts turning evil. This happens way too fucking often. I like that he could at least be in a fucking relationship with somebody that didn't turn out to be fucking evil. That was nice. Susan's nice. I like her. Batman the Animated Series is basically the definitive version of DC Comics in my mind as well. See, Arrow may go a long time. Look how long Smallville lasted. Yeah, it lasted 10 years too long. Hold on. Yeah, if Arrow helped save the world from aliens, why the fuck is some accusation of cop killer, which may or may not be true, enough to make him into a pariah? Well, a court of public opinion is a very fickle thing. It's really not that out of the question. Especially when you've got the mayor of the city basically telling you, yeah, this guy killed a cop and we gotta stop him. That's like if Will Smith from Independence Day was accused of hitting someone in a bar fight at Blacklist. Mr. Terrific will replace Felicity after she is arrested by Argus for hacking Homeland Security. That would be nice. I would like to see Felicity kind of go away for a while and maybe go to prison for something, because it would be nice to see her really have to own up to some of the shady shit that she's getting into. I mean, she's doing some bad things now. And when she's trying to rationalize it away, like, oh, it's what's necessary or it's not a big deal. No, it is. And these producers are all in love with Felicity. They've excused a lot of shit that she's done. So I'm not sure if it'll happen, but it would be nice. Would be really nice. They nailed Mr. Terrific. I have no idea why they don't give him a show, too. Well, yeah, I am liking that he's got like the T spheres now, and he's like coming up with all different uses for those things. I'm really liking what they're doing. I'm liking what they're doing with Curtis right now. Talia's send off on Batman Beyond was a huge tearjerker as well. I didn't see that one. They have 4 shows. Don't give them any ideas. Yeah, and they got Black Lightning in development too, so they're gonna have 5 at some point. Did the same with Chicago verse Magpie, Chicago Hope, Justice, Chicago Hope, Chicago Justice, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, all set in one universe with stories crossing over. Oy. Yeah, that network is just one giant Chicago shared universe. Because nothing happens in any other fucking city except Chicago. For a comic series, it would work brilliantly. Basically, a comic universe on TV. I think what will happen with Felicity is that Argus will arrest her and Lila will make a deal with Felicity where Felicity takes out Helix from within. Yeah. Could happen. Let's see, I have no idea what they're doing with Artemis. My guess is the same as the comic. Didn't she die like pretty quickly in the comics? I thought she like died in like one issue. Like they introduced her in the culling and then they quickly killed her off. What if Arrowverse goes as long as The Simpsons? Basically, a whole generation grows up watching it into adulthood. I can't imagine the actors would want to do the show that long. If it goes as long as The Simpsons, well, Christ, Stephen Amell would be like, what, in his 40s or 50s by that point? It'd be really pushing. I'm not sure he'd be able to sell the action hero thing at that point. And you know, none of the women on the show would be hot anymore. I really can't see it running for that long. But hell, like Supernatural has been going on for what 13 seasons or something like that. So who knows? We can get Teen Titans in the Arrowverse. Maybe they do a Teen Titans spin-off at some point, eh? Spinning off everything else in the goddamn Arrowverse. Want to see The Question? Yeah. That would be really cool. The Question. Who's the guy who voiced him in the Justice League animated series? I always forget that guy's name. Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts. I always forget the guy's name. Yeah, because if we never see the Question's face, then he could play the Question on the show and still do the voice. That'd be awesome. Buy or sell current Felicity or Rebby Sky? Ugh. If I have to pick one or the other, I guess I'd buy Felicity and sell Rebby Sky, because Rebby is just making herself out to be a gigantic bitch of epic proportions right now. Felicity may not be my favorite character anymore, but she's still more likable than Rebby. Can we get Deadshot back? Probably not. Since apparently the movies have a thing where if the characters are showing up in a movie, then they can't be used on the show. I don't know why. I guess they figure it's confusing or something. Did you watch Batman Beyond and Justice League Unlimited? If memory serves correct, these shows were badass. Oh, hell yeah. I have season 1 of Batman Beyond back there on my shelf. Don't have the whole series. I haven't seen every episode, but I've seen a good chunk of them. Justice League Unlimited? Yeah. Yeah. Watched the whole thing. I don't have the DVD set. I have the Justice League one. It's back there also. I didn't get the box set of when it transitioned into Unlimited. I'll get that at some point, but I've never gotten around to it though. But yeah, I watched that one. Absolutely. Artemis is back. Jeffrey Combs, that was his name. Thank you. What did you think of the new Wonder Woman trailer? I'm cautious. I liked it. I'm cautiously optimistic about Wonder Woman right now. I'm ready for the movie. Um, it would be nice if this is where the DCEU starts to turn things around. I have nothing new to add. I think it's all been said, but the footage looks good. Um, I don't know. Some of the lines they used in the new trailer were kind of corny, a little bit cliched and tropey, I guess. But I'm still optimistic about the movie, and I really hope it delivers. You want Diggle to appear on more of the shows. Honestly, I want fewer crossovers. I think they've been doing too many of those damn things. Just do fewer crossovers and make them mean something when they do. Because it seems like a lot of the times they do it just for the hell of it. Alright, I guess we're into off-topic stuff. Thoughts on Austin Aries getting a WrestleMania match against Neville for the Cruiserweight title? I really don't care about the Cruiserweight title, but I care about Austin Aries. I'm glad to see he's getting the WrestleMania moment. Who the hell deserves it more than he does? And Daniels winning the ROH World title? Much like Aries, no one deserves it. Like, who the hell deserves it more than Daniels? Man, I can't think of anyone who's worked harder for longer than Daniels has. I mean, if it's really nice to see him finally getting, finally winning the big one. I'm not watching ROH right now. I'm not really following it that much, but I was really happy to see Daniels get that moment. That was really long deserved. Batman Beyond was awesome. Justice League cartoons too. I missed the old DCAU. Yeah. No comment necessary. Iron Fist drops tonight. Well, for me, it probably drops tomorrow morning, because that's how it's been for like Daredevil season 2 and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. I'm always on my computer at midnight waiting for the show to drop, and it takes a while. Like they don't update for some reason. It just takes a few hours, so I end up just saying fuck it, and I go to bed and I have to wait till the next morning. But yeah, it drops tonight. Really interested to see what all the fuss is about, because so many people have been burying this show, and I tend to think that so much of this criticism feels like it's been like completely blown out of proportion because of SJW rhetoric. It's like they cite a bunch of buzzwords like cultural appropriation and racism, and then so many people are just jumping on this fucking bandwagon and calling it the worst show ever made. And it's like people are being like so negative that this has to be some kind of bandwagon thing. It could not possibly be that bad. This is Marvel we're talking about. They don't screw up like that. I suspect it won't be exactly perfect, but I'm really looking forward to watching it and seeing what the big deal is. And then maybe we'll see some of these people starting to retract some of those criticisms. Guess it depends how many SJWs double as TV critics. Legends, Gotham, and Powerless all have positive Rotten Tomatoes scores, but Iron Fist is only at 19%. I find it hard to believe that it could be anywhere near as bad as those shows. Really? Gotham? Gotham has positive reviews? Powerless too? Weird. Let's not forget, all the reviews out right now are only based on the first 6 episodes. One of the main complaints that I've read about the first 6 episodes is that they're slow-paced or boring or whatever. You know what? You could say the same thing about Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. Very slow-paced at times. First 6 episodes being slow. You could say the same thing about Sense8, for example. Sense8, the story really didn't start moving until about the halfway point in the season, and I ended up really liking that show. So, any criticisms you're reading are based on a show that they've only seen half of. So the show could end up sticking the landing in a really positive way. We don't know. We just don't know. I expect this show will not be nearly as bad as people are making it out to be. But it's a bandwagon thing. You know, one person says cultural appropriation, and suddenly everybody's just harping on the damn thing and just trying to pick at its bones until there's nothing left. Because that's the world we live in now. Who could you see playing Vic Sage? They could have Jeffrey Combs voice Vic when he's the question. You just answered your own question. Jeffrey Combs. Jeffrey Combs is probably going to be the new Trek show. Yeah, well, he's been in a bunch of the other Trek shows. And they keep bringing him back because he's awesome. Thoughts on the new Inhumans TV show? Don't really have a lot of thoughts. I'm not really sold on the actress playing Medusa. She doesn't really feel like Medusa to me. Everybody else seems cool. I think it's really cool that they're going to be doing Lockjaw, because I saw like the set photos. They've got like the previs, like the CG stand-in for Lockjaw. So Lockjaw is going to be a thing on the Inhumans show. I'm excited for that. I don't know how the hell they're going to do it on a TV budget, but I mean, hell, if Flash could do Gorilla Grodd and make it look good, I mean, they can do Lockjaw and pull it off. But there's really not a whole lot to go on so far, except the cast, which I think is good. Okay. EC3 deserves way better than to play second fiddle to leftover WWE garbage. Agreed, but they're building up they're obviously building toward a heel turn there, so him losing makes sense. You didn't watch the anime Dragon Ball series back in the day? No, never been into Dragon Ball. Never got into it. Will the Fantastic Four ever get a good movie adaptation? 3 flops in a row, not a good track record. Yeah, 4 if you count the Roger Corman one. At this point, I think Fox should just say screw it and let Marvel have the rights back. Because Fox obviously have no fucking clue how to do a Fantastic Four movie. Just let Fox have just let Marvel have the rights back. Let them have the rights to X-Men back too, goddammit. Patrick Stewart is awesome in Logan. Well, Patrick Stewart's good in everything. Haven't seen Logan yet. Hopefully this weekend. Emergency Awesome gave Iron Fist a good review. I am more inclined to go with his opinion, seeing as how he is more of a fan than a critic. Oh, I guess he got an early screening, huh? Oh, cool. I'll have to check that video out. You know, Finn Jones did say that. Look, these shows are made for the fans, not for the critics. And when I've had to go to bat for the series a couple of times on Tumblr as well. And, yeah, I got into it with a couple of people saying, Marvel, but by not race-bending Danny into an Asian, Marvel showed that they don't care about cultural appropriation and they don't care about, this and that. And I had to say, look, by not race-bending Danny, Marvel showed that they care about doing right by the fans of the character, because the fans of the character know Danny as a white guy. And they know the fans don't like it when you make changes to the characters that don't need to be made. So they're trying to appease the fans first, not the SJWs or the critics who don't read the comics. So yeah, I mean the show is made for fans, and the fans know Danny Rand to be a certain way. And as long as they're trying to appease the fans, which has been their MO from the start, I think Iron Fist may turn out better than people expect. SJW's overreacting to nothing. Shut the fuck up, that's impossible. Yeah. I saw a meme comparing Daniel's win to Goldberg winning the Universal title. Oh, fuck that. Daniel's win was decades in the making. Goldberg. Ugh. Goldberg, let's be honest, this Goldberg thing is just being done to pop the attendance at WrestleMania. Gotham got way better after they added the Joker and the League of Shadows. Really, Joker's on the show now? Is it that Andrew kid, or I heard he died? Is it something else? Wait, not Andrew. What the fuck was his name? The redheaded kid. Whatever the fuck his name was. Wait, no, wait, you know what? I don't care. It's Gotham. Gotham sucks. I miss TJ Perkins because he was the original Suicide and then Manic, but he's in WWE now. No, TJ Perkins was not the original Suicide. Suicide has actually been played by a couple different guys. I think the original one was Kazarian. And that was Daniels for a little bit. There might have been somebody else in there. And then it was TJ Perkins. But yeah, it's been a couple different guys. I'm pretty sure Kazarian was the first one. DS9 was the only Trek show worth a shit. I say that as someone who watched every episode of every Trek series seriously. So trust me, DS9 good, Trek bad. Yeah, I've never been much of a Trekkie, but DS9 was probably the Trek show that I watched the most and enjoyed the most. Although Enterprise was kind of enjoyable in a so bad it's funny kind of a way. But yeah, DS9 was the best one. Yeah, easily. DS9 was the best, then Enterprise... Really, Enterprise was the second best. Alright. If that's how you feel. Then the original, Next Gen, and lastly Voyager. Fuck Voyager. You know, Voyager does make for really entertaining reviews on sfdebris.com. I'll just say that. If you think The 100 and The Walking Dead is too sad, never ever watch anime from the 90s, especially Genocyber, it'll blow your mind. I'm not gonna... it's not that it's sad, it's that it's bleak. I mean, Battlestar Galactica was sad. But BSG always had that glimmer of hope, like that light at the end of the tunnel, that all their struggles would be worth it. All their struggles would pay off, and they could have some kind of a happy resolution to everything. And ultimately they did. You know, when Adama had that line, I think, in the miniseries, where he said, it's not enough to live, you have to have something to live for. And I think that goes for fans as well. You know, it's no fun watching characters that are just trying to live from day to day. Because that's when the feeling of hopelessness sets in. And that's the problem I have with shows like The Walking Dead and The 100 as well. Because I don't feel like these characters are trying to live for anything. They're just trying to survive. They're trying to survive until they can't survive anymore, and then they die. But ultimately, they're all doomed. It's just, it's so grim and so bleak that I feel like there's no hope for anyone. So why should I get invested if I think ultimately all these characters are fucked? That's why I can't get into shows like that. Have you ever seen The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo? Not the original. I saw the Fincher movie. It's a shame they never made the other two movies. Although I hear they're skipping ahead and doing like the fourth one with a new cast, which sucks. I wish they'd just go back and do the other two with Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara. With Luke Goss as Iron Fist. Luke Goss, yeah. I know him. Know of him, anyway. Seen him in a few things. Can't wait for Spider-Man Homecoming, but I'm going to miss Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I enjoyed him more than Tobey. Oh, yeah. I was not a fan of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. I did a video... after Amazing Spider-Man came out, the first one, I did a video why Amazing Spider-Man is better than the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. I really did enjoy... I thought Andrew Garfield's portrayal was so much better. Didn't like Amazing Spider-Man 2 so much, but the first one was the Spider-Man that I was looking for. The Raimi movies were just so just dumb and cartoonish and silly. They were made for kids, basically. I just did not like the approach that he took. So I much preferred Andrew Garfield's. I'm gonna miss him, but I'm really digging Tom Holland's interpretation. Danny is white. What's the big deal? Oh, it's a big deal because cultural appropriation. Because that's worse than like Nazism, according to SJWs. Because they gotta be offended about something. So they're just constantly looking at the checklist of buzzwords and it's like a word of the day calendar. So what's the buzzword of the day? Cultural appropriation. Iron Fist, you bastards! You made Danny Rand white. You fucking racist sons of bitches. Doesn't matter that he's white in the comics, because they'll just say, "Oh, this comic was always racist. It's always been about cultural appropriation and racism." So the only way to not make it racist was to make Iron Fist Asian. Never mind the fact that that's not the character. Man, I feel bad for everyone who worked on that show. Man, if Finn Jones has had to come out and like defend this show and say, "Look, we've been cognizant of the cultural appropriation thing. We tried to be very sensitive about how we approached this whole thing and do a story that's going to be progressive and modernized, and not fall into and not kind of follow the same tropes of the original comics, which were products of their time." You know, he said this, and so I'm very encouraged that they knew going in that this was going to be an issue when they tried to account for that. And just the fact that they've come out and said that, makes me want to give the show a chance. Because I'm not going to fucking condemn the show before I've seen it. That's what all the SJWs are doing, and they're stupid. That's fucking childish. I'm going to watch the show and then make up my mind. All these idiots out there, they just say, no, it sucks, and they haven't even seen it yet. That's the irony of it. Because they don't know if it sucks or not. Not sure if LVN will ever be the same after the wedding. I love the drunk bridezilla. She's great. Oh yeah. She's been awesome with this thing. Get your final questions and comments in now. I'm going to put the cutoff point in a minute because I want to go eat. But yeah, LVN is really doing great work right now. I hope they've got a really good storyline in store for her, because she's really killing it. She's just taken this story and really run with it. How do you feel about the Mania card this year? Haven't given it much thought, to be honest. Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt, I don't care. AJ versus Shane will probably be entertaining, because Shane always just busts out something really crazy when he gets in the ring. He'll probably jump off of something really high. I expect that'll be fun to watch. Cena and Nikki versus Miz and Maurice, I don't care. What the hell else? The tag title match, the triple threat tag title match, I don't care. Rollins versus Triple H, if it even happens. They've waited so goddamn long to pull the trigger on that. It's like I'm really close to not caring about that either. What the hell else? Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Who the hell gives a shit? That match means nothing. Women's title match. Oh, for fuck's sake! They already they fucking ruined that one, because they did the match because the match that should have been the Divas, the women's championship match at WrestleMania, they did it at fucking Fastlane. It should have been Charlotte versus Bayley. Maybe throw Sasha in there too, but it should have been Charlotte versus Bayley, and that should have been the time when Charlotte's pay-per-view win streak came to an end. But they blew that off on a fucking B pay-per-view. They blew their load a month early. Now the match doesn't mean nearly as much. And now they're throwing Nia Jax in there for some reason. Nia Jax sucks. And I guess they're doing something for the SmackDown women too. I guess they're just going to throw all of them into the same match. Which kind of feels like a waste. I think it's dumb. Becky Lynch should still be the champion, in my opinion, but whatever. Not really enthused about that whole pay-per-view card. Enterprise gets shit on by SF Debris, but it's really good. Oh, I beg to differ. I watched Enterprise. It was not good. But to each their own. Will the Defenders show have that nostalgia feels like the first Avengers? Well, we've got no reason to think it won't. It's funny. Politics are crazy. Are you getting the Rogue One on DVD next month? Yeah, I'll probably pick it up. I was a bigger fan of The Force Awakens than Rogue One. I feel like Rogue One suffered from two very different versions of the same movie, kind of battling it out for prominence, and neither one really succeeding. So it was kind of a mishmash of two different movies. So I think there's a more coherent vision of that film that we just didn't get to see. I wish we could have seen that one, but I did like Rogue One a lot. I'll certainly get the DVD at some point. Yeah, still using DVDs because I watch them on my computer. When I can watch Blu-rays on my computer, then I'll switch to Blu-ray. Until then, I'm sticking with DVDs. Sienna found her voice finally. Well, she always had her voice. I think she's getting to talk. She's being allowed to talk for herself finally is a better way to say it. See, May and Daisy are Asian, Triton and Karnak are Asian in Inhumans, and Nico Minoru is Asian in Runaways. The reputation is there. Yeah, but Iron Fist is racist because they wouldn't race bend Danny Rand into a race that he's not. Yeah, but Marvel are racist, even though they've race bent a number of other characters before. Even though the lead character on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is an Asian woman. Yeah, Marvel are racist bastards, aren't they? The funny thing about that is that if you think about it, Iron Fist actually has more diversity in its cast than Daredevil and Jessica Jones did. No one was calling those shows racist. Kind of weird, isn't it? Okay. And alright, that's going to be where we stop. Last two seasons of Enterprise were really good. Well, from what I saw, they were slightly less bad than the first two seasons. I guess that's something. By the way, the liberals are now saying love is a bad word because some people aren't in love. They've officially become bad guys from Care Bears. Christ. Ugh. That's the world we live in now. The left and right get angry over everything. Spider-Man 2 is the greatest comic book movie in its own right. I love the train fight scene between Spidey and Doc Ock. To each their own. I will agree the train fight sequence was great. I'm just not a fan of those movies. I think the scripts for each of them have been pretty bad. I don't like how they're kidified and skewed and aimed at a younger audience. I think they kind of talk down to their audience. They're really simplified, and they're silly and cartoony, and it just wasn't the version of Spider-Man that I was looking for. Okay. Any more fantasy booking? You could go to my blog if you want more fantasy booking. Haven't done any like in recent times. I don't know if you ever read my TKO series. This was a couple of years ago. I fantasy booked a fictional knockout division spin-off show. So I had like over a dozen episodes, really detailed. I booked everything: promos, matches, backstage stuff, whatever. Basically taking what the knockouts were doing like in the division at the time, and then spinning them off into their own series. So you can go to my blog, tnathreshold.blogspot.com, and click the link on the right side of the screen for TKO. The whole series is up there. If you want my fantasy booking, that's easily the best one I've ever done. SJW, what does that mean? Social Justice Warriors. Look it up on the Urban Dictionary. They can explain it better than I can. How's the weather in your area? Well, the saying in my area is if you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes. So it's changing. It was pretty cold yesterday. Today it was not that bad. And now I've got I got my window open and I'm still too hot. So that's the weather. We had a lot of snow a couple days ago. Must have been like 1.5 feet, 2 feet of snow. So shoveling the driveway was a lot of fun. That took a while. And I ended up not having to go to jury duty. I guess that was called off. Well, jury selection rather, because I have a perfect excuse. I have a get out of jury duty. Last time I had to go in for jury selection, I told them I had ADD, and that is true. That is true. That's not a lie, and that's a valid excuse for getting out of jury duty. I got all the way to like the final selection process, so I had to talk to the judge. And I said, look, I've got ADD, so if this trial lasts for more than a couple hours, my brain is going to be like, really hard to pay attention beyond that point. And that got me out of jury duty. And I didn't have to lie or anything. So if you ever want to get out of jury duty, that excuse works. But yeah, it got called off, so I didn't have to go in this time, which was nice, because I would have... Getting out of the driveway with my car would have been a challenge. People say Amazing Spider-Man Peter isn't nerdy enough. I think he was awkward enough that it didn't really bother me. Ever think of doing trailer reactions on your channel? Okay, this will be the last one before I call it a night. I have thought about it. I'm not very good at trailer reactions though. I've kind of tried just like off the cuff once or twice, and I'm not very good at watching something and then coming up with like detailed thoughts and analyses like right off the top of my head. If I want to do that, I've got to watch something and then like kind of think about it for a while and take notes and really organize my thoughts and stuff. And if I have to do it just like on a whim, just like that, watch something and then immediately talk about it, then I'm not very good. So I do enjoy those videos though. Angry Joe does those a lot, and I always watch those. Those are always fun. But if I have to do it myself, I'm just not that good. I wish I was better at it, but no. If I'm going to do like a reaction thing, I need to do a lot more preparation. Plus, I'm not really sure how to do that. Get like the trailer in the screen there. It's probably a lot more simple than I'm making it out to be, but I'm not very computer savvy, unfortunately. Ironically, there's probably like a how-to video on YouTube where they show you how to do it. It's like I said, it's probably a lot more easy than I think, but I'm not very technical, I guess. I'm a bad geek. Anyway, that's about it. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I will be back on Saturday afternoon at some point for the Impact review. We've got a lot to talk about there. We got LAX returning in a pretty cool segment. We also got EC3 versus Alberto El Patron to talk about, and some other stuff too. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for joining me. Follow me on Twitter at TheRealFK9 for updates on when the streams go live. Also, if you want to go read my fantasy booking that that person asked about, go to my blog, tnathreshold.blogspot.com. Even though the company is Impact now, it's still TNA Threshold because I can't change it. I wish I could, but I'm pretty sure I can't because that's Blogspot. Anyway, so that's where my fantasy booking is. Most of it. And I got some old fantasy booking videos that I did like years ago on the channel. Just go way back, and they're on there. But TKO is by far the best fantasy booking I ever did, and that's on the blog. It's tnathreshold.blogspot.com. The link will be on the right side of the screen. Just click that. There's like I don't remember how many episodes there were. Like I think like something like 17 or something, and they're pretty long. I'd love to hear. Yeah, so read them if you want. I'd love to hear what you guys think, but it's a bit of an investment because I went in like a lot of detail on that. So read that if you want, and I will talk to you guys on Saturday for the Impact review. Until then, thanks for joining me. Over, out.